Hey guys, Jacob here and welcome to the second video of the series Python from Zero to Pro. I hope you watched the previous video when I show how to install the Python and set up our environment, which is Jupyter Notebook. So in this video I will dive into the code and I will cover topics such as Python indentation, which is basically the whole code structure in a Python. We'll talk about variables, which are responsible for storing, holding and manipulating data in Python. After that, I'll talk about data types in the Python, such as strings, integers, floats, so basically the numbers. We are going to get familiar with those topics and do some operations and some tasks. So let's jump into the code. So first of all, we need to understand how Python code is structured. So basically, a Python programs get structured through the indentation. So it means that we kind of have code blocks which are defined by this indentation. So right now, what you can see on the screen is me programming simple Python code. You don't have to understand it right now. I just wanna show you how it is structured, how those indentation looks like, and yeah. All the statements with the same distance to the right belongs to the same block of code. And if a block has to be more deeply nested, as you can see in the video, then you simply indented it further to the right. So as you can see here, we have this for loop with the indentations of the if statements. The code is nested more into the right. And yeah, that's basically how the code indentation looks like in a Python. So right now we are going to jump to the variables, and first of all we have to say what the variables are. Well, in programming, a variable is something which holds your value. You can declare variable, which means that you can create it. You can assign a number or text or an object to it, and I'll cover the objects in the next videos because it's more complicated. So basically you can do whatever you want. Now let's say how to create a variable and how to assign a value to it. So we are creating a variable, we call it my variable, and we assign 12 to it. And right now let's print it on a screen. So as you can see, we assign it successfully. You create a variable and we print it on the screen. Right now, let's do what I called reassign a variable. First, we assign a 12, and then we reassign a 0 to it. And when we print it out on a screen, we see that a 0 is printed. Now what we want to do is basically we want to reassign it again, but with the addition of the different number. We added 5 to the 0, and as we can see, we got a 0 we got a 5 in the end. I will cover mathematical operation just in a few minutes, so don't worry, guys. So not only the value can be changed, but also the type. Like in a Python, you can really change the types. As you can see, also it's not like in C++ that you have to declare it like int something equals something, right? Here you just declare the name of the variable and you assign the value to that, and that's basically the type of the variable. And here, let's create the variable called my variable and assign a string to it. I will cover strings also just in a minute, but for now you just need to know that this is basically a text and a variable. So we store the text in my variable. We reassign it 3 times. I mean, like maybe 2. That's the third time, right? And when we print the type of this, we see that this is the string. But when we reassign it and we assign a 5 to it, then the type of the variable changed to the integer again. So as you can see, it's really tricky thinking in Python, but this is comfortable, and this is why a lot of people like Python, because you don't have to declare a static variable to that. Okay, the next thing is really tricky one as well. So we got an integer, and we are going to add the float number to that, 0.12. And as we can see, when we print now the type of the variable, it changed automatically to the float number, because when you add integer and a float together, then you have to, like in the end, it will be the float type after this calculation. And now I just want to tell you about a few rules of naming variables. So first of all, the most important one, I think it's how you can name the variables. So you can only use letters, numbers, and underscores. So basically, for example, name underscore 9, which is equal to 1, is a good name. But when we try to add the, like, you just can't start with the numbers. That's the rule with Python. So you can use those three things, but you cannot start with the number, obviously. So that was the first one. The other rule is please do not use the Python names. For example, strings, int, def. You have to avoid Python names because you can really mess up the code. And the third one, avoid using L and 1 or a 0 and O. I mean, not avoid, but be aware of that. For example, name underscore 1 and name the underscore L look really, really similar. And you can really have mess up with the code when you try to use that. Another thing is with the big O and a 0. As you can see, it looks really similar. And if you have like a huge project, you can really make a lot of mistakes with that. Alright guys, and now let's do some math in the Python. Obviously, it's just a simple math operation. So first of all, let's declare two variables, var1, myvar2, assign 7 and 5, and let's do some math on that. So the first and the most basic thing which you can do is addition. You can sum up those two variables and print them out. You can also store them in a third variable, but we don't have to do that right now. So you can also multiplicate it. The thing is multiplication. Also, you can divide them. We can also do modulo, which is having the rest after the multiplication. So basically, when we do 7 modulo 5, as you can see, 5 fits only once in a 7, and the rest is a 2. So that's the modulo operator. And also you can do exponentation. So basically, my var to the power of my var2. It's a huge number. Alright guys, so now it's time to cover the strings which we used before. So a string is simply a series of characters. Anything inside quotes is considered as a string in a Python. We can use single quotes or a double quotes around the strings. If you want to have a string with the quotes inside, you can basically use double quotes first and then single quotes inside, and it will be the Python will know that you wanted to have it as a part of the string. So let's print it out and let's see how it looks like. Yeah, basically as we expected. Okay guys, now I want to cover a few methods on a string which are worth knowing because you can use them a lot of times. And also I want to cover string concatenation, which is basically adding one string to another. So as you can see, we add the first string and the second string, and we got it like a whole new string. We can also use the variable and store the result in a variable called new string, and the result is actually the same. Alright, now let's talk about methods, which are like a function for a string. We'll cover methods, like class methods and functions in the next videos, but those are built in the Python, and you can use them as much time as you want. So let's create a new string called Adam, and let's manipulate it with methods. First of all, we use the title method, which will give us the first letter will be in the uppercase. Then we have different ones. We can, for example, use upper, which will change all of the lowercase letters to the uppercase. Lower is totally different thing, which will just translate everything to lowercase letters. And now let's see a very nice method, which is deleting the spaces. So for example, we have string with a lot of white spaces on the left and the right, and we want to delete it. We just use string dot strip, and it will delete the spaces on the left and the right of the string. And now I would like to show you how to find the methods. Like, how do I know a method? So basically you go to the link. I mean, it's the Python documentation, basically string Python documentation. And you can find all of the other methods here with the description, how to use that. And I will cover this link in the description. So as you can see, there's tons of different methods, lower, strip, which will only delete the spaces on the left. Yeah, you can find out, you can look at this and discover tons of different new things there. And now I have a homework for you guys. So basically what I want you to do is create a sentence, store a string in it, and then create a variable with your favorite number. And in the end, I want you to print, like I want you to store everything in a new string and print it. And I've got a hint for you, because it might not be very easy, that you can change types in a Python, basically with few functions. So for example, here we got a my number, which is integer. So we can change its type by basically typing str and having our integer in a brackets, and it will change immediately to the string. And it might help you with the task. So print everything on a screen. Okay guys, so that was it for today's video. I will cover the homework solution in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you will get notified every time I will release the video. See you next time.